Привет всем, это Жора, это вторая часть моего интервью с гостем, который был у меня пару деньков. Это Дэвид. Он, естественно, говорит на английском, так что если кто не знает английский, можете выключать этот видос, хотя я сделал для вас сабы. В любом случае, я хочу также извиниться за то, что долго не выпускал видосы. Я обновлял сетап камеры, обновлял немного звук, свет, что-то, в общем, переделывал, и просто особо времени не было, так что буду стараться выпускать почаще. У меня есть много заготовок впереди, и вообще, на самом деле, по секрету вам расскажу, сейчас видео про Couchsurfing, и я буду готовить скоро для вас видос, как я, собственно, сам ушел в трип на Couchsurfing. Будет интересно. Вот, и что еще про Couchsurfing рассказать? Couchsurfing — это такая платформа, на которой вы можете искать людей, бесплатно путешествовать, как-то общаться с местными. Это круто, это интересно, это бесплатно. Точнее, как, это бесплатно, но нужно купить премиум, чтобы у тебя было больше заявок. Короче, путешествуйте, все круто, смотрите вторую часть. Конечно, она с плохим светом, вот, но я постараюсь вытянуть. Мне было много советов в комментах, также спасибо вам за советы, вот, и так что приступаем к видосу.
So if Couchsurfer didn't have actually a space where you can just sit here, where you can sleep. For example, he had a 1.5 bed for 1.5 people.
Yes.
When what you do?
It never happened.
It never happened.
It never happened that there was nothing. There was no place. There was either a big queen size bed or some futon that you can put on the floor and you can sleep there. Or in Japan, tatami.
Yeah, tatami is great.
So there was always something. You know, since people do couch surfing and they receive guests, it's normal that they think about where would the person sleep.
True.
So they usually have something.
So you didn't have a bad experience with couchsurfing?
Bad?
Yeah.
I did, yes.
Tell me about that.
Bad experience, okay. When I started couchsurfing, it was my first experience, and after that I was a little bit scared to continue, but I continued anyways because I'm a very adventurous. The experience was very weird because I was staying in Rome, and there was a guy from Philippines, and he was quite nice, but he had sometimes very weird questions concerning sex. And then he was trying to get me to his bed. So he was trying to have sex with me. And when I said no, I'm not interested, he was it was like that we were on the balcony and he was giving me wine. So I was drinking. He was trying to make me drunk, but I was still sober. So, and anyways, even though I'm drunk, doesn't matter. He was repulsive.
You just leave out of his home, or
sorry?
You just left out of his home?
What I did was that I rejected, and then he was trying even more. But then I closed the door and
just
I said,
punched him in the face.
I didn't punch him. He was not very strong. He was shorter, and I would say I was stronger. So I think he would not do anything violent. So I just stayed that one night because it was already very late, so I didn't want to escape in the middle of Rome. And then I just found another hostel actually because I didn't.
I know that in Couchsurfing there are these days requests. It's kind of critical request for if something's happened.
last minute request.
Last what?
Last minute.
Last
request,
minute.
Or SOS requests. Yeah. But it was fine. No, it was fine. I had also more negative experiences, but only two more, maybe. Two more. Another one, also concerning sex. Whatever. I left.
Again,
Guys, yes.
It will be fine if a girl will be. Just maybe.
I never. No, girls are sweet. They would never. And the next one was not concerning sex, but it was that the person was very, how to say, he didn't like to share things. He didn't like to share things, and he made clear with me when I came, you will be paying for this, you will be paying for that, and I didn't even have a choice. You know, he didn't even give me a choice. We went to the supermarket. He said I would cook dinner for you, and I was like, okay, it's nice from you. We go to the supermarket together, and he choose, and then he started choosing, and I didn't have any right to say anything, and he started choosing beef, expensive steaks, and then avocados and all kinds of stuff, and then he gave it to me, and he said, this is your part, you will pay it, you can afford it. I was like, I was a little bit in shock, because what makes him to say that I can afford it? Because I have a better iPhone than he had. Maybe, I don't know, but yes, I invested into my iPhone because I want nice pictures for my trip, that's all.
Yeah, that's true. That being said, what do you think the most valuable kind of qualities for a couch surfer from the side of the surfer who actually travels and from the side of the host?
Some kind of...
maybe top 3, like random things that you think.
Travel spirit, so that you can have some stories to talk about from your travel.
From surfer or from the host? From surfer.
From surfer, okay, so travel spirit is obvious. But what I think is very important is to be very friendly, outgoing, open-minded, humble at the same time, not have high expectations and high requirements, and also be friendly and share with the host, not just come and put your bags somewhere, ask for Wi-Fi, and then disappear and come 4 o'clock from the party and expect that the host will be totally fine with that. No, it's the person, the couch surfer who is coming to the host's place should be grateful, should have a nice, kind heart, should be very open-minded and cheerful and fun and entertaining.
From the host?
Perfect. From the host. The host should be generous, but not in the way that it would feel like the couchsurfer is taking advantage of the host, but generous. So, for example, I would say if I have a couchsurfer, I expect my home will be an open door, or open, I don't know.
Yeah, like, always open.
Like I open my door to the guest. So I would expect that I would say to my guest, feel like at home. And I would share, of course, for example, breakfast or something, and I would take the person somewhere to see something around, or to give some tips around the city, and just make him feel welcomed in the new city where the couchsurfer is lost, and just make sure he has a nice time. So all these things are important. Yeah.
All right, great, thank you. So I think a couple more questions about your trips. If you are actually going to the new country, from what to start first? From you're actually planning your trips. How to start it?
First, you have to make a first step to actually start traveling in the scale of traveling the world, for example, without going back to your country, if it's like for a longer period. Then the first step, going, and then it's very easy. Then you just plan briefly the route of your trip. For example, I did, first I want to go as far as possible and as fast as possible. As far as possible from my country. So I flew to New Zealand, and I knew it would be New Zealand, and I knew I would be there for 1 month, and then I would go to Australia. So it's maybe 1 month in advance planning.
Mm-hmm.
First you have the brief planning, and then you have the detailed planning, maybe 1 month, few weeks in advance before you go to that place.
So you plan,
and then you plan
any day or any couple hours of a day?
Well, you need to plan and you need to react all the time, because you are using all these platforms like Couchsurfing, in my case. If you don't book everything and everything is organized like some people do, but I don't like it. I like when it's a little bit spontaneous. But still, if you want to save the money, you have to plan a little bit in advance with Couchsurfing or with HelpX, which is a platform I'm also using and I didn't mention, which is a platform for volunteering. So you basically work for accommodation and for food, or sometimes just for accommodation. And you can stay in one place for 2 weeks, 1 week, 1 month, or even half a year, if you like.
So actually request for a longer period than Couchsurfing.
Yes. So I, for example, wanted to stay for 2 weeks in Melbourne. So I was like, okay, Couchsurfing for 2 weeks, no. And I don't have a friend there. So I tried HelpX. I found a very lovely family there. I stayed there 2 weeks, and then I went to Tasmania and I stayed there 8 days with the family, and then I was working in a hostel in Auckland, and then I was working in the cafe in Japan for 2 weeks. So it was 2 weeks or something like that to experience and soak.
To experience how to work in a cafe in Japan.
Also, it's a nice experience because, for example, one day the owner and his girlfriend, they were out, so there was nobody to run the cafe. And I was like, but you know, maybe you can open, because it's a waste of money. You can open the cafe, and I can manage it. I can try sell things here. I can make the drinks. I can serve one food if you teach me how to make it, because I was not in charge of making food. I was in charge of making drinks only, and I was in charge of serving the clients and selling things from the flea market, because there was a flea market attached to the cafe. It was a very nice place.
With the seafood or with what? With the seafood?
The food?
Yeah. Well, which food this flea market just?
The flea market is a market with antiques. So they were selling
all right.
all kinds of Japanese traditional things. But the cafe, they were serving tea, coffee, some traditional Japanese juices, sake.
Sake.
Sake. And they were serving 5 kinds of food.
Where did you study actually in the university?
I studied in Czech and in Shanghai. In Shanghai, I studied in 1 year as an exchange student at Shanghai International Studies University. And in Czech, I studied Chinese and French.
So you studied languages, but you didn't use that much in your work.
I did. Yes.
How did you use it?
I did. I was working as an English teacher in China when I was studying in China, and then I was working as a
China teacher in English speaking. It's like a Chinese teacher.
No, English teacher in China, and then Chinese teacher in Czech.
Yeah.
For a short period of time, but still a little bit.
That's cool.
And then I was working in the luxury brand store Louis Vuitton, you know. And I was using my Chinese every day, because Chinese are crazy about luxury brands. Yeah. So they were coming to Prague.
Even in St. Petersburg.
I can imagine, because they can get the tax refund. In China, there's special tax for luxury goods. And it's so expensive in China. So they're coming here. It's much cheaper here. On top of that, they can get a tax refund, 10, 12, 15%, depends on the country. For them, it's very cheap here. And they're buying like crazy. So maybe 60-70% of our clients were Chinese. So I was so for them it was very good to have somebody who speaks Chinese in their store and who can speak 5 languages, not just Chinese, but I was using all the languages.
So it's really important for Louis Vuitton stores, even luxury stores, to just speak Chinese, because it's the most actually
Chinese or Russian.
Russians?
Yes.
So you speak Russian? in a store? Just a couple
Well,
words.
I didn't speak Russian. I was trying to speak English with them, but of course, a few phrases like sumka or одежда or кроссовки you have to know. But then I didn't study Russian systematically. I studied Russian systematically when I came to Russia because I wanted to and I needed to survive.
Why you needed to study Russian to survive?
Because you have everything in Azbuka, in your bukva, in your writing system. So I needed to learn, and it's much easier.
To just see what happens in the streets? Or...
Yes. And just see what is this, what is that. Read the menu, and I succeeded in this. It was not that difficult.
But we have an apps like Google Translator too, but there are more different satisfactory apps that can translate you from the image and even from voice.
Yeah. Google can do it too, but I prefer to learn something because if you learn the language of the country, you also learn the culture of the country. For me, it's very important.
Yeah.
Of course, there are some stressful situations like what? Something is too expensive.
Really?
New Zealand is very expensive. Australia is very expensive. Japan is very expensive. So, for example, taking a train in Japan is expensive. Taking a bus in New Zealand is expensive. That's why I was hitchhiking also. But sometimes I wanted to just relax. And another stressful situations can be that people don't understand you, what you're saying. In Indonesia, for example.
They don't know English.
They do somehow in Bali because it's a touristy place. But if you go somewhere else, then it's very hard. Then you have to speak. They have to show everything. Speak slowly. Have lots of patience, and sometimes it can be stressful. But it's not the most stressful thing, I think.